the government have said that they're going to shut down and clamp down on tax havens because we lose a huge amount of revenue, we lose a huge amount of money going offshore in tax havens. So tax evaders, tax avoiders, corporate tax havens are used to actually avoid paying proper tax and fair tax in countries like Britain. The Tax Justice Network estimate that we lose about 100 billion a year in corporate tax evasion, avoidance and corporate efficiency. And the Tax Justice Network was actually set up by a guy called John Christensen, and John Christensen was Jersey's chief economic advisor. He is poacher turned gamekeeper, and he knows the ins and outs on how it works. The point is that the derivative market, hedge funds, the whole situation, the collapse of the banking sector, is actually the reason it collapsed was because they were able to operate offshore without proper transparency, without proper scrutiny. And what we're saying is we should shut it down. Now, Gordon Brown is saying we're going to have a multilateral approach to shutting it down. In fact, places like this are owned offshore. New Labour are obsessed with the market to such an extent that they've used private finance initiatives to put a massive amount of public buildings and public projects into private hands, and often those companies are taking the revenue and the leases of those projects offshore. So in fact we end up renting, like this place is owned by Mapley, and Mapley is owned in Guernsey. If you go through a whole series of bits and bobs, you find it ends up in Bermuda. So in fact this office isn't owned onshore, so the taxman is paying rent on a building we should own to tax dodgers. And we're here to say that we're going to invade Jersey. That's what we're here to do. In fact, all the people here have signed a pledge and have taken an oath. They are prepared to be paramilitary commandos in the first wave up the beach into Jersey. And so what we're proposing is enough fucking about. I was trying to be sort of like unsweary then, but failed completely. So enough fucking about. We've decided we're going to take unilateral action. We need to invade Jersey, shut down the banking sector ourselves. I'm going to nip in and just say hello and pass a message on here. I'm just going to explain why we're here to them, so folk know. Is there any message that people want passed on? Move. Actually, do you know what we should actually ask? What we should do is we should ask the tax. What about? Would it be good? Should we put it to the meeting that what we do is we ask them to squat a building, because it makes more sense to squat a building and actually run a tax office from a squatted building than it does to actually pay rent to tax dodgers.
Yes.
Is that a good? Any other suggestions? Or you're just asking for money back?
I'm just saying, just stop using it.
Okay, great. Well, I'll go and ask. Hold on a second. Can you hold on to that bit?
Did they tell you to pick up the phone?
No, they didn't. I'll get a chance to speak to a manager in a couple of minutes. But I did explain it was a very supportive demonstration, but we'd urged them to squat a building rather than operate from here. And they're very polite, very lovely. And at that point they said, I think you'll need to speak to a manager. So that's what we're going to do. I think it's always nice just to sort of explain that it's a supportive and nice demo and not about them, and not attacking the staff individually. In fact, we were... I love it when people beat demos. They don't know what we're doing. We could actually be fighting for rights for crack dealers. Oh man. There was also the PCS, the PCS trade union, which represents people who work within public sector. They actually said that that each person who works for HMRC is responsible for bringing in 600 grand's worth of revenue from dodge tax or missed tax or miscalculated tax or whatever. So it makes sense to actually, instead of sacking tax inspectors, it makes sense to keep them in and get the income and possibly arm them for Jersey.